widespread popular movement with ideals for a better world. The ideals have been elaborated in the first instance by solitary writers of books, and yet powerful sections of the wage-earning classes have accepted them as their guide in the practical affairs of the world. In regard to socialism, this is evident, but in regard to anarchism, it is only true with some qualification. Anarchism as such has never been a widespread creed. It is only in the modified form of syndicalism that it has achieved popularity. Unlike socialism and anarchism, syndicalism is primarily the outcome not of an idea, but of an organization. The fact of trade union organization came first, and the ideas of syndicalism are those which seemed appropriate to this organization in the opinion of the more advanced French trade unions. But the ideas are, in the main, derived from anarchism, and the men who gained acceptance for them were, for the most part, anarchists. Thus we may regard syndicalism as the anarchism of the marketplace, as opposed to the anarchism of isolated individuals which had preserved a precarious life throughout the previous decades. Taking this view, we find in anarchist syndicalism the same combination of ideal and organization as we find in socialist political parties. It is from this standpoint that our study of these movements will be undertaken. Socialism and anarchism, in their modern form, spring respectively from two protagonists, Marx and Bakunin, who fought a lifelong battle, culminating in a split in the First International. We shall begin our study with these two men, first their teaching, and then the organizations which they founded or inspired. This will lead us to the spread of socialism in more recent years, and thence to the syndicalist revolt against socialist emphasis on the state and political action, and to certain movements outside France, which have some affinity with syndicalism, notably the IWW in America and Guild Socialism in England. From this historical survey, we shall pass to the consideration of some of the more pressing problems of the future, and shall try to decide in what respects the world would be happier if the aims of socialists or syndicalists were achieved. My own opinion, which I may as well indicate at the outset, is that pure anarchism, though it should be the ultimate ideal to which society should continually approximate, is for the present impossible, and would not survive more than a year or two at most if it were adopted. On the other hand, both Marxian socialism and syndicalism, in spite of many drawbacks, seem to me calculated to give rise to a happier and better world than that in which we live. I do not, however, regard either of them as the best practicable system. Marxian socialism, I fear, would give far too much power to the state, while syndicalism, which aims at abolishing the state, would, I believe, find itself forced to reconstruct a central authority in order to put an end to the rivalries of different groups of producers. The best practicable system, to my mind, is that of guild socialism, which concedes what is valid both in the claims of the state socialists and in the syndicalist fear of the state, by adopting a system of federalism among trades for reasons similar to those which are recommending federalism among nations. The grounds for these conclusions will appear as we proceed. Before embarking upon the history of recent movements in favor of radical reconstruction, it will be worthwhile to consider some traits of character which distinguish most political idealists, and are much misunderstood by the general public for other reasons besides mere prejudice. I wish to do full justice to these reasons in order to show them more effectually why they ought not to be operative. The leaders of the more advanced movements are, in general, men of quite unusual disinterestedness, as is evident from a consideration of their careers. Although they have obviously quite as much ability as many men who rise to positions of great power, they do not themselves become the arbiters of contemporary events, nor do they achieve wealth or the applause of the mass of their contemporaries. Men who have the capacity for winning these prizes, and who work at least as hard as those who win them, but deliberately adopt a line which makes the winning of them impossible, must be judged to have an aim in life other than personal advancement. Whatever admixture of self-seeking may enter into the detail of their lives, their fundamental motive must be outside self. The pioneers of socialism, anarchism, and syndicalism have, for the most part, experienced prison, exile, and poverty, deliberately incurred because they would not